Welcome, Greek U Nation, to episode number 410 of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Ayalon, CEO of Greek University. I'm a speaker and an author. Our fourth book was just released. It's called Using AI to Grow Your Fraternity or Sorority. So go and pick up that book today on Amazon. And we also have a fifth book that is going to be out in time for Christmas. So be on the lookout for that as well. We call these episodes the Fraternity Foodie Podcast because there's nothing like great food to bring college students together. Fun fact, I love doing things that scare me because ultimately this is how you're going to grow in life. Whether it's speaking on a stage with 6,000 college students in the audience, leading an international fraternity with 120,000 members, or writing a book on artificial intelligence, I'm going to tackle the things that challenge me the most. That's what I suggest for you, for all of our listeners, in terms of your own growth. And I know that our next guest feels exactly the same way. Let me tell you about our next guest. Jenny Powers is a motivational speaker, a best-selling author, and a dedicated life coach, helping individuals unleash their true potential and live a life of purpose. With 10 years of experience in personal development, Jenny has guided countless individuals in embracing their passions, overcoming obstacles, and creating lives filled with meaning and fulfillment. Through her engaging and empowering speaking style, Jenny has captivated audiences worldwide, inspiring them to follow their hearts and live their dreams. Her insights, wisdom, and practical strategies have transformed the lives of many, leaving a lasting impact on those who have had the privilege of experiencing her keynotes and her workshops. Welcome to the show, Jenny.
Thank you. I'm so thrilled to be here. I mean, I hear that intro and I'm so excited to have this platform. I'm so excited we've met, and I'm thrilled to, share any wisdom I can to inspire people that are watching.
I'm excited about that as well. You have a great energy about you. I know the college students are absolutely going to love meeting you. So this is super exciting for me as well. Let's talk a little bit about your undergraduate experience, because I think that's kind of where it all begins. You decided on Williams College for your undergraduate experience. And I have to tell you, there are some incredible students, and it is a wonderful college in every sense of the word. But why did you ultimately decide on Williams of all places?
It's a great story. So my dad was a high school teacher. So education was very much a focus of my childhood. When I was looking at colleges, I actually applied to 12 colleges. My dad had me rank from 1 to 12. If I got in everywhere, where would I go? Williams was 12th. And just through the process of just exploring, I was a soccer player, and soccer was incredibly important to me. And so I went on a ton of visits and really kind of just started to, we'll get into this later, but the core of what I believe in and how I've lived my life is to truly follow my heart, and whatever that is, intuition, guidance, whatever the word is for you. I went to visit Williams. I met with the coach. They were incredibly excited to have me. I felt like I belonged there. And it was really just a gut instinct around, Williams has been awarded the Sears Cup a number of years, which is basically an amazing combination of academics and athletics. And I just felt like I'm putting myself in an amazing place in sort of both veins. And this is a great education, and it forever changed my life.
That's a great story. And you're right. The academics are certainly top notch. So when you marry that with the athletics experience, I can see why ultimately now you ended up there. And it's great that you had 12 choices. I'm happy that your dad, kind of said, hey, let's list out these 12 choices. I think it's good to have options. I think it's good to have various possibilities and kind of to fully explore those things. And don't do what I do, which is just to go where your best friend from high school is going. Don't do that.
There you go.
That's a terrible mistake.
I know. And I have to add a caveat. I didn't get into all 12. So in all transparency. But I think it's a lot of why I'm really passionate about kind of leading and teaching and inspiring college students, because I think that, even in that process, we can get into our heads around, well, what's the best college, and my parents or my sister or my best friend, think I should go there. And I think the process of me ending up at Williams really was one of the first kind of experiences where I just trusted my own instinct and felt like, for a million and one reasons, the other 11 or however many I got into, feel, I think they're a great fit, and this just felt right. And so that's really why I'm so passionate about empowering, college age kids to really trust that inner guidance, because I think if you start at that age, your life opens up, and a life of purpose and authenticity is, to me, the most rewarding thing.
I love it. Now, a lot of the people that are on the podcast, many of them are fraternity and sorority members. You were actually captain of the soccer team. You were a member of the lacrosse team on campus at Williams College. Tell our audience a little bit more about how university athletic teams actually better prepared you for your career.
Yeah, I mean, they were life-changing for me. And we often, at Williams, we didn't have fraternities and sororities, but we had social houses, and it was very much based on, athletics. It was very much, socially, the focus was kind of your athletic team. I felt like I was on in a sorority with my soccer team. And truly for me, it made me feel like I was capable of anything. I mean, for me to juggle the academics, I remember being, we'd be driving to a soccer game, and I'd be at 9 o'clock at night and have a flashlight, and I'd be writing a paper. It really sort of opened my eyes to what I was capable of, and to continue to push the envelope. I'm juggling these academics. I played lacrosse as well, as you said, and it just really a very well-rounded experience in terms of the skill set. It was a liberal arts school, so it was very open-minded in terms of the life skills that I developed. But in terms of being part of a team, there was a lot that was expected. We had games, and we had practices, and we had, papers that were due, and I was an economics major, and, a lot was asked of me. And I think it really, I always say that Williams made me so much smarter, because it really, set the bar so high. And so I think in terms of my life, the way that that's rippled through and kind of running my company now, I expect a lot of my team. I expect a lot of myself. And I just believe really that anything is possible because of how much I was able to manage in those 4 years, going in a number of different directions. And I think, being elected captain obviously was an enormous honor. And I think that that really empowered me to believe that I was a leader. And I think that even now, as I, chart the path for this company, and even in my own, personal life, I really believe that, be the one that goes first, right? Be the one that's trailblazing, and the one that's, believing and seeing before other people do. And being captain really inspired me to believe in myself.
Mm-hmm. And what's interesting about you is you've done a lot of different things professionally. You worked as an actress, you were a director of sales and marketing, you were an investment banker. Talk to our audience about what your professional journey has taught you.
So I think I love to learn. I think I love to learn in life. I love adventure. I love new experiences. I love to discover things. And so I think my professional career has been very multifaceted. I think Marianne Williamson, who's one of my favorite authors, says there's generalists, then there's specialists. There's people that are like laser focused in on this is, what I'm doing. I think I was more of a generalist. I wanted to learn and grow and have a million different experiences. And so professionally for me, it comes back to how I live. I followed my heart. It was, I graduated from college. I was an economics major. I took a job as an investment banker. And, for all the reasons that people told me that should have been the best job, and I was making all this money, and I had this title, and I had this, prestigious kind of place in the world. And my heart was not happy. I was not in it. It didn't feel right to me. I left that, which is kind of led to one of the truths I'm going to share later about what I believe is the core of how you live. But I think that, I took that risk, and I said, I want to be an actress. It was my childhood dream. I've won life. This is my chance. And so that's what I'm really passionate about sharing is it's your life. They're your dreams. It's your, purpose and path and mission. And so I think my career has reflected my following my heart.
Mm-hmm. You haven't always had those high highs. I mean, there's also been some low lows in your life as well. Talk to us about being involuntarily committed to a mental health institution. How does that happen with everything that you've told us this far?
I'm so passionate about sharing this part of my life because I think that the sort of stigma and the shame around mental health challenges or mental illness, I think it's incredibly important in this day and age. I think especially coming out of COVID, isolation has really become a thing. And I think, it's a sort of a much longer story, but I think that what led to that time in my life was I'd gone through a ton of change. I left my corporate job to start my company, to become an entrepreneur. I moved in with my boyfriend at the time who had 2 little boys. I became basically a mom overnight. And there was just so much change, and it was almost, sort of too much at once, but I didn't know how to ask for help. Truly, I'd been raised to perfectionism is what, we're good. We're not struggling. I'm Jenny Powers. We just, fight on through. And I think that that experience really transformed how I see the world and what I'm passionate about sharing, which is it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to be overwhelmed. It's okay to struggle, and it's okay to really, honor where you are emotionally. And I think the path that it led me down, it's New York City is banging upstairs. I hope you can't hear. But I think it led me to really be overwhelmed with my emotions. And, that changed the path for me in terms of, especially as a leader, as a CEO, how's everyone doing? Checking in, and I think in college in particular, there's so much, especially with social media, I think this pressure to like always have your best day, a highlight reel, a video reel, we're filtering everything, everyone's comparing their, Wednesday to someone else's, wedding on Instagram. We're just this comparisonitis, this comparison between ourselves, I think is at an all-time high. And so I think that in terms of my journey, it was just, I was struggling and I didn't know how to get the help. I live in New York City. Therapy is incredibly expensive. And I didn't find that there were any resources. And so I kind of walked myself into New York Presbyterian thinking, someone had mentioned that they have a mental wellness center, not realizing I would literally be locked up, stripped of all my belongings, thrown in a holding cell, and really, talk about you learn how strong you really are. But I think obviously it's a much longer story, but that's kind of the quick answer to your question.
Yeah. So after that experience, how did you ultimately take control of your life after that?
I keep coming back to this thing of just trusting myself. I think that there's so much around, we can listen to the outside voice and what does this person think? And, all of the doctors that I've sort of been working with told me that I would, forever be labeled with this mental illness or that mental illness, and these labels that we can get caught in. And I was on, taken off on medication, off medication, just in a very kind of not the healthiest form. And I kind of, got very quiet with myself one day and I said, I'm going to beat this. I'm going to beat this and I'm going to do it on my terms. And I'm going to come out and I'm not going to be labeled anything. I'm going to not be on medication. I'm going to live to tell this story. And truly, I went back to my book. I wrote this book all about following your heart. It's called Empowered. And I really, truly went back to the pages of that book and got back to who I was and what I believed in and what I knew to be true and who I am and who the life that I wanted to live. And that really, really helped me to find the light again and come through this really dark time.
Often you talk about the 7 guiding truths to living your best life. What are these 7 guiding truths?
So my book is full of 100 guiding truths,
Okay.
which this is my book right here.
Uh-huh.
And it's 100 guiding truths that I believe when you live your best life. I've shared them in the pages. Every page is a standalone page. You can pick it up. You can open it for a dose of inspiration for your day. People love to just throw it in their bag. And 7 of them, I give a keynote and on this. And the 7 that I believe to be kind of a great starting off point. The first one is refuse to conform. Perfect example, leaving my banking job, to not conform in your life. Who do you want to be? What life do you want to live? What purpose do you want to fulfill? Number 2 is to take action. I think there's so much around visualizing and imagining and dreaming, but you got to take action. As Nike says, you got to just do it. Mm-hmm. The third one is I love that you referenced this in the beginning, is to do the thing that scares you the most. Mm-hmm. When I ask that question, the first thing that pops into your head, what is that thing? You got to do that thing, because when you step over your fear, I just think your world opens up. The fourth one is to be willing to not know. I think there have been times where I've left a job or taken a leap of faith, knowing in my heart that it wasn't where I was meant to be, but not necessarily knowing what comes next. And I think so often we can wait for that next thing to come, and then we end up staying stuck and kind of stagnant in where we are. The fifth one is define your success. I love this one, which is, what does success mean to you? It can, society says it's the car and the house and the corner office and the job and the, title. For me, success is, did I live the best life that I could live? Did I inspire people? Did I lift people up? Did I make the world a better place? So when you define your own success, then live your life using that definition. I think you'll find, each and every one of you, you're way more successful than you think that you are. Number 6 is to speak your truth. Always, in every area of my life, in every facet, to just speak your truth. What do you feel? What do you need? What do you want? What do you think? I just think that's, the core of how I've lived my life. And number 7, not surprising for people who, are getting the theme, is to follow your heart. And again, whether that's your intuition, your guidance, your inner drive, just your inner knowing, I think that has led me to live a life that is so authentic to me, because I trusted myself from within.
Wow, this sounds really good. So you're talking about 100 guiding truths in this book. It's called Empowered, the Women's Guide to Following Your Heart. So if our listeners go out and buy the book, they can essentially maybe read like one guiding truth a
Yeah.
day and then figure out how that fits in with their life. Is that how they would use it?
That's exactly right. And people, people that have read the book say it's doable, right? It's like someone, you can have a book, but it's one page, right? And I love to actually take my own book and open it up to a random page and trust that that page is what's meant to inspire me.
Mhm.
And it's written for, all ages, all, walks of life, people, all levels of experience. And that's why I really, honestly, when I think about this book, I wish I had had this book in college. I almost wrote it, I think, for my younger self,
Yeah.
because again, you know the answer, right? You know who you want to be and where you want to go and how you want to contribute to the world. And I think that to the extent that we can shut out that outside noise, I've wanted to give back in this book and to pour my heart into it and say, hey, this is what I've learned. And if I can help you from having to fall down the 10 times that I fell down, then, here's what I know. And I believe this book to be so true because it's the core of how I've lived.
Hmm. Yeah, you and I are alike in that respect that we're trying to heal our younger self. So let's create all these resources. Here's a bunch of books, here's a bunch of
Totally.
podcasts. Listen to it because you know what? My younger self would have been like, oh my God, this is coming at the perfect time when I
Totally.
need help.
Yeah, well, they say you go on to be what you wanted most or
Right.
needed most as a kid, and I think that is 100% true for
Yeah.
who I become and who I continue to grow into.
Yeah. You also have the Empowered Journal and the Empowered Workbook. Talk to us about how these additional tools would be helpful for, let's say, college students.
I love that there is a journal and a workbook. They're the companion to the book. You can see them right here. They're all matching and all,
Mhm.
fit within one another. The workbook I wrote because I wanted to help on a deeper level. I love, being a speaker. I love being a leader, but I love being a connector. I love, going to breakout sessions or workshops or schools and kind of enabling people to reflect. So the workbook is written in a very kind of supportive, very self-reflective way where, say, the first truth that I mentioned, refuse to conform. There's a workbook page that goes along with that, which helps you to reflect on, are there areas that you feel like you're conforming? Are there ways that you don't want to conform? Are there places that you really want to just take a huge leap and go for it all? And it's one page. Again, it's 10 minutes a day, super doable. And it really is like your companion. A lot of girls and women, and say I and then the journal is just a sort of blank space to expand upon the workbook. If you want to journal every morning, I just wanted to create a place for people to just free form write and express. And if there's not enough space on the workbook page, keep writing about those dreams into the journal. And so it really is just, people call it the little purple package of love, because it just, sort of shows up and it's really positive and really inspirational. And it's all about like, I believe in you. I have your back. I know you're a superstar. Let's get you there.
Wow. That's really cool. I like that a lot. And I think the journaling and the reflection is super helpful. I don't think we did that enough. Like, I know in my college experience, certainly being a member of a fraternity, we did some community service events throughout my college career, but it was just kind of like, okay, we're going to do this community service event and then we're going to go, have some drinks or something, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like we never really actually sat with it for like, not, it doesn't have to be that long. I mean, even like 15 minutes as a chapter just to talk about what we did, how it benefited our community. And I think if we had some of those discussions and we're very intentional about that reflection time, then I think it would have been even more meaningful, but we never really took the time to reflect on it.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think that, what brings to mind is a word that's the core of everything I'm building is permission.
Yeah.
I want to be the leader and the speaker and the friend and the trailblazer that gives, everyone permission to be who they want to be. And I think that sometimes, to your point, that takes time, that takes discovery, that takes just sitting with, a page that makes you think, oh, what are my dreams? Or what is my relationship with success? Or who do I want to be? And I think that I wanted to sort of be that foundation and that sort of support system that kind of quietly nudges you in the direction that you want to go. And I have lived that life, right? I've gone first. I'm like, I have bucked the trends. I have not conformed. I've lived a very unconventional life. So not only do the book and the workbook and the journal speak to, kind of inspiring you and giving you the tools to discover kind of your own truth, I'm the one that's like, and this works, and I live it and I walk the walk, and so that's why I created these things to help people.
That's so cool. I think that reflection time also will help in terms of just building empathy too. I mean, being grateful for the things that we have and figuring out how we can help others. And I think that's really kind of what our true purpose is. It's just to help other people to make this a better world, a better community. And I think that reflection time, that journal time can certainly help in that regard. And I just don't think that there's enough empathy in today's world. I think we have to start thinking about others. I think maybe because of social media, we're so absorbed in ourselves and not thinking enough about the people that surround us and how we can help them to achieve their goals as well.
Well, I think, with social media, there's also such a focus on appearance and kind of the outward, like, what are you posting and what's your filter? And, I think as a result, rather than even sitting with ourselves and going inwards, we're now not seeing the insides of other people, right? We're just seeing what do they look like and where are they traveling and, what is their post of the Instagram reel of the day, but they're a human being, right? And I think that especially coming out of, we're further out of COVID now, but I think that, I live in New York City and the city has changed. We're not as connected. And that's why I'm so passionate about supporting, whether it is a fraternity, a sorority, a sports team, any form of community where we're connected. Because I think that, as I said, when I struggled with my depression, isolation was one of the biggest keys. I was by myself. I was starting a company. Like, to the extent that we connect, we unite, we see ourselves in one another. I just think that's the most healing, inspiring way that we can live.
Beautiful. So you also have this course on the website. It's called the 100 Days of You. Tell us more about this course.
So I took the course because in this day and age online, obviously, as we kind of pivoted away from in-person events, now, obviously, as you were at one this weekend, we're back into the kind of land of in-person events, but I wanted to create an online option as well for people to kind of take the contents of my book and my workbook. So I created this course called 100 Days of You, which is a 15-week program. It has 15 different themes that I've taken the contents of basically my workbook, which is the kind of reflective exercises, organize them into 15 themes, finding your purpose, connecting, to your drive, all of these very supportive kind of mindset approaches, quite honestly, around how to see yourself and your life. And then for each day in that week, there's a workbook page. So you have 7 workbook pages that all fit with that theme. And so for that, each week you focus on that theme, you kind of have the space to explore and reflect. And it's really kind of, I think 3 months is a really great time. I think we can get set on, set a goal for next year, especially as, 2024 is kind of on the horizon. We can get so, kind of far ahead in 12 months and 6 months. I think 3 months is a really tangible goal. I think, where do I want to be in 3 months? It's long enough to give us enough time to create change, but I think it's also a short enough window that you're like, in 3 months, wow, I can experience this. I think it drives us and motivates us. So that was kind of the motivation behind that kind of course in the 100 days.
Makes total sense to me. Now, I do have to say, I do love good food here at the Fraternity Foodie Podcast, and I'm going to be home. My sense is I'm going to be in New York City for Christmas. I was originally born in Manhattan in Mount Sinai Hospital, so I know exactly where you're at in the world. But the problem is the restaurants are always changing, especially after COVID. I feel like there are a bunch of restaurants that are no longer there that I used to go to all the time in Manhattan. So where should I go for a great bite to eat these days?
You're preaching to the choir. I love to eat. I love to go out. I love to experience restaurants. The first ones that popped into my head, I actually love Lavo. Lavo's sort of on, 59th, right in the heartbeat of kind of Midtown. It's got a great energy. It's got a great DJ. It has, really good kind of American Italian food. I think it's a great staple and it's fun. It's especially around this time of year, it's really festive. And I think the food's fantastic. My second thing is this tiny little Italian place on the Upper East Side called Uva. I've been going there for 15 or 20 years with my sister. They maybe sometimes 4 a.m. They make a great pasta. Uva's fantastic. And then this new restaurant actually that opened up not that long ago down in Chelsea. It's called Chouquette. It's Mediterranean. Unbelievable. The best. It sounds so simple. Hummus, pita. I could eat it until they take it away from me. So, of course, as you can tell, I could go on and on and on, but I'll give you, those are my kind of 3 that popped into my head.
I'm so excited because now I have a new foodie to go out for meals with in New York City.
I'm ready. I'm all yours. I'm a great eating wingman, I have to say.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, because I mean, seriously, like if we can have good food, like we could come at a problem from totally different angles, but you know what? We can agree on good food. So,
It gets back to the same community, right?
yeah.
Anything that allows us to connect and just feel, just this sense of a shared experience. And I think travel is a great way to do that. But food,
Yeah.
New York is wonderful for that. It's like you walk out your front door, there's 100 people on the street. And I just think really getting back to that sense of connecting again. And that's so much, about my mission to not only, empower people to connect to themselves, but then to connect to one another.
This is really cool, Jenny. This has been a lot of fun. So, if our listeners, if they want to connect with you for speaking engagements at their college or university, maybe they want to pick up the book, where should they go to connect with you?
Absolutely. So you can, always send me a DM on Instagram. It's Empowered by Jenny. You can also go to my website, which is jennypowers.com. There's a contact form you can reach out. My email, very simple, Jenny, Jenny @jennypowers.com. And my book is on Amazon. So if you go in and you type in Jenny Powers Empowered, the book, the workbook, the journal are all there. And I think they're truly the greatest gift you can give yourself. I think, especially as we're, reflecting and kind of setting goals for the new year, I think that I've written them with such love and with such honesty in terms of what I've been through that I really, truly believe it'll help you to chart the path that you want.
This is absolutely great. Super easy to remember. JennyPowers.com. Go and pick up the book. It's called Empowered, the Women's Guide to Following Your Heart. She's got the journal and the workbook. It's all matching, so you'll see it right away. But definitely go and check it out. This is a perfect time of year, actually, I think, to go out and pick up the book, because this is when we start thinking about our New Year's resolutions. Maybe we have some time off of work just because of the holidays. We're getting together with family. Maybe we need a little break from the family so we can get into the journal and the workbook, right?
Yeah. And it really is, when I wrote it, I think it's actually on the back of the book, but I wrote this as, something to keep you company. Like at whatever stage you are in your life, whatever decision, whatever age, whatever kind of obstacle, like I truly wrote from a place of just believing in you, that anything you want, you're capable of. Nothing can keep you, from living that life. I always say, my mission on this earth is to awaken every person to their best self and empower them to live their best life. And I think if we have one life, why not go and live our best life?
I completely 100% agree with you, Jenny. 100%. This has been so much fun. Thank you for sharing all of this great information, your book, the journal, the workbook. Everything is absolutely phenomenal. I hope that tons of college students are going to ask you to come and speak. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. This was so much fun. I am so honored to be here, and thank you so much for having this great conversation. I'm incredibly inspired.
Of course, it's our pleasure. And to our listening audience, if you enjoyed this conversation with Jenny, what I want you to do is I want you to like this on social media, and I want you to share it with other people on your college campus that need to hear Jenny's words, because I know there's somebody in your life that you're thinking about saying, you know what? This person needs to hear Jenny's voice. And so whoever that is, share it with them. And we hope to see you on another episode of the Fraternity Foodie Podcast. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.